we're in family territory. I wrote a song for my dad. My dear old dad passed away in 2013. Called me on May 1st of this year, of that year, I mean. Yeah, that would be weird.
Whoa! Rick!
May 1st of this year. Time warp. He called me on May 1st, 2013. He said, I'm afraid I got some bad news for you. I said, it's a cancer, isn't it? And he said, I'm afraid so. And then without even taking a breath, he said, but I've had a good life. And I was like, dude, fight it a little bit, you know? like what? And also, what? No? Like, you did? When? Because I was there for most of it. My dad and I operating at arm's length at that point, by email and phone. That's all we could do. We didn't get together. My family's weird. They don't get together. We don't get together for anything. Holidays, we don't do it. I've just started to go see my mom for the holidays. You should see her. She's like tickled out of her skin. I'm like, we could have been doing this the whole time. But I'm the only one who travels, so. But anyway, my dad and I operating at arm's length there. And staying in touch by email, but mostly by phone. My dad would call me. We'd have these little conversations, mostly talking about his dreams. Dad was a big dreamer. He'd call me up and he'd say, you know what I was thinking, Trace? And I'd say, what's that, Dad? He said, I was thinking I'd like to have some chickens. And I was like, chickens? Okay. And he was like telling me about how our family used to raise chickens in the Central Valley, like I come from chicken people, and I'm like, la 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 la. I'm vegetarian, Dad. Time out. I don't want to know. And but he wanted to have chickens. I said, well, I think it might be genetic. You're going to have to do this, you know. Like clearly you wanted 10 chickens. So I said, it's so easy, Dad. You know, you just build a little structure and go get some chicks from the feed and tag, and boom, you're a chicken man, just like that. And I'd hear him on the other end of the line smoking a cigarette. And he was smoking a cigarette so hard you could hear the paper burning on the tip. Like you'd hear the little, you know, and then he'd just blow it out right into the phone. And he'd go, yeah. Which means, I'm probably never going to do that, but I sure like talking about it every time I talk to you. You know. Another time he called and he said, and he was talking about his girlfriend. He'd hooked up with his girlfriend who was an actively drinking and rather violent alcoholic, and my dad was sober at this time, and you know he's like a solid 12-stepper. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, and he really wanted to leave this situation, but there was a 12-year-old boy stuck in the middle, her son. And my dad was kind of getting a second chance at parenting at that point, and he didn't want to mess this one up. And so he'd stay. He decided he was going to stay, but he would still daydream about where he would go. And I'd say, well, tell me about it, Dad. What's your vision, you know? What do you see? And he said, well, I always wanted to have myself like a little house on a hill somewhere. And maybe at the bottom of the hill there'd be a little pond, and I'd get myself a big old yeller dog. He always wanted a big old yeller dog. And a goat. He wanted a goat. A friend for his yeller dog. And I said, you know, Dad, as a singer-songwriter, I've been traveling around this country quite a bit. And I can tell you something about America. We got a lot of hills. We got a lot of houses on those hills. And even a man of modest means, such as yourself, because at this point in his life, my dad had gone from rags to riches to rags again. I said, even a man of modest means could get himself a little house on the hill where I bet you could have your yeller dog and your goat and your chickens too, probably. And I'd hear him on the other end of the line, you know, he'd just be smoking that cigarette every time, smoking it so hard you could hear the paper burning, and then he'd blow out right into the mouthpiece, blowing my idea right back at me, right? And he'd go, yeah, but I've had a good life. In our last conversation, we didn't talk about any of his dreams. Our last conversation, which we didn't know was going to be our last conversation, was all about a piece of fruit he was eating and how juicy it was, and the texture of the skin and the color of the meat. And I heard him calling out to that girlfriend, "Karen, get me a bowl of ice cream. I don't want to miss a drop of this peach." Last conversation we had. I asked him how long he thought he had. He thought he had 6 months, so I made plans to see him on June 5, but he snuck out on May 29. So I didn't get to see him. But I thought a lot about how he thought he had had such a good life when there really was just very little evidence of this, outward evidence. And I thought about that peach he was eating right there at the end. And so when I'm in this song project and I get the prompt satisfied, I decide that I really have to write about my dad. So this is the song I came up with. And it's written as if he were singing it, just called Good Life. 20 years old, just a fitful young man with a fire in my eye, liked a drink in my hand, kissed a pretty young girl, got a gold wedding band and a baby on the way that we didn't quite plan at all. Headed out west and I ran a little hot and a drink in my hand. Well, it didn't cool me off. It was right about the time my kid was 16. I was scaring everybody, got so bitter and mean and all. I used to dream of a little rowing boat. It'd be me and the dog, and we'd fish and we'd float and we'd live in a one-level ranch with toads round the pond and doves in the branches and all. What a good life. Sick of my scheming and costly mistakes. I was losing my business. I was burning up the brakes. I got sober as a mountain and my river turned cool. I'd make it up to your mama, but you're leaving this fool at all. I used to dream we'd be getting up at dawn. We'd have chickens in the pen and some goats on the lawn and big dreams. Worms in the pail and my heart on my sleeve. Yeah, my love wouldn't fail. In my good life, in my good life. I'm 65 now and they tell me I'm sick. There's pain in my belly, it is the reckoning stick. So call my daughter and we cry ourselves clear. It's forgiveness and grace, and I wish you were here, Last time we talked, I was coming undone about a sweet summer peach that tastes just